Welcome everyone to the second day of the Australian Schools Orienteering Championships. I've got a couple more familiar faces and I'm joined with Aislinn. And did you want to introduce yourself? Oh.
Testing. And then I'm Kaz Gregory, so I'm an Armidale local. It's been now 14 years since my last schools, but they are always a fun event to go to.
Yeah, sweet. It's good to have a local in the commentary box here today. Now, just looking at the start list today, we've got quite a few of our independent athletes out here today already, and in about 10 minutes or so, we should have our normal schools starting out there, so stay tuned.
And we've got the maps here, Riley, and they're looking pretty challenging today. So it's a real good test for those schools athletes out there.
Yeah, it looks pretty short compared to what the course distances were last year in Perth. I can tell you that now. So I guess that means they're taking into account here that it's going to be pretty tricky out there. It's looking very rocky out there. Now, we've just got a review of the scoreboard today. So after yesterday for the sprint, we've got tied first place for ACT in Queensland with 23 points in the normal Australian Schools Championships. And first time I've ever seen New South Wales third in 22 points. And Tasmania, fourth place with 13, South Australia, 11th place. In fifth, WA 9th.
And I think from memory, Vic were also on 11, so tied for fifth with SA.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the Southern Cross Junior Challenge, our New Zealand neighbours are taking the title at the moment. So Harua and Karahiwi are tied on 30. Then we've got ACT in third, and then the same placings from there on as the ASC Challenge. So
yeah, it's looking like pretty tight out there in the terms of the points today, but that's expected for the sprint championships. Now, things could change quite drastically out here in the Forest State. It looks pretty tough out there, and it'll be interesting to see how many people team up together out there to take on the course, or whether they try go a bit more by themselves out there.
And do you reckon our unique Australian granite terrain will give us a little bit of an edge, Kaz? What do you thought?
I think it probably is the one advantage we need over these New Zealand people, because they are very strong. They've shown that yesterday in the sprint, where they really dominated with 30 points for both New Zealand teams. That's a pretty clear lead, but there's a lot that can be brought back today for sure for the other states here in Australia.
Yeah, and how about that last finish for the junior boys class? Wow, that was absolutely amazing. That was down to the wire. I wonder if today we could possibly get another finish like that. That'd be great to capture.
Yeah, let's hope we get a lot of excitement today. I'm sure we will. With we've got the course here, and it looks like it will be very challenging. So hopefully there's not too many blowouts, because that is very stressful to be at an Australian Championships and be out on course. Sometimes you're having a great run and you part way through and you just have a massive mistake, which really can cost you.
Now, I've just got a live update from the caravan. Live GPS tracking for the seniors classes will be live at 9:30. So I believe if you try and connect to the Wi-Fi here, that is if you're in the arena, try and connect to the Wi-Fi. You'll be able to look at the GPS tracking here in the arena. If you're at home, then the GPS tracking will be up soon.
So we've just got 6 minutes now until our first official Australian Schools Champs starter.
And just to update, we've had our first runner through the first radio control, William Headley, That's an independent, coming through that in 20 minutes. So that'll be an interesting benchmark to see how all these future runners come through. I believe Will was one of the first starters. So we'll see how that holds up as more runners come through.
Yeah, so that first radio control was roughly about halfway through the course now. So, we've got another independent coming, Theory and Halpin from the independents again in 16:51. So that's about roughly halfway throughout the course. So we should be expecting them to come in soon at about another 15, 20 minutes into the finish there. And now just looking at the start list for all the other classes, the senior girls class looks like most of the heavy hitters today are towards the back end of the field particularly. So it'll be interesting to see if we have a couple of grouping there, particularly, let's see, Erica Enderby and Mila Key from the Aussies starting pretty far back into the field there. And for the senior boys, we've got quite a big bunch up there with Sam Carrier, Cooper Hawley and Owen Radzewski all starting within 4 minutes of each other from 10:26 to 10:30. In the junior girls, it looks like we've got one of the war favourites today, Adriana Ishikova starting at 9:49 there, and Katie Hogg as well, both of them from ACT starting 10:37. So one of those two girls, I believe, has probably got it today. I'll see if you guys would beg to differ. And for the junior boys, I'll have to confirm on that a bit later.
Testing 1, 2. Why is this quiet?
I'll tell you when I do it. Doesn't have to be now.
Check 1, 2.
Everybody comes in. It'd be nice to have it local.
Check 1, 2. Yeah.
And it looks like in our junior boys, they're a little bit more spread out, aren't they, Riley? So we've got some of the heavy hitters from yesterday kind of spread throughout the field. I can see Maddie Maundrell down in 10:32. Who else have we got there? Maddie Layton, my Vic compatriot at 10:50. Rory Shedden, 10:28, so he's not too far away from Maddie Maundrell. But a little bit more spread out today, and interesting to see whether they can have the same success in the forest as they had during the sprint.
Yeah, so the winner for yesterday in the junior boys, Zach Meads, he's starting quite early in the field today, 9:48, but like you said, Maddie Maundrell, just looking at the start list again, he's at the back of a pretty strong pack there with the likes of Rowan Braid, Patrick Maundrell, Rory Shedden ahead of him, and Jacob Abernethy from New Zealand Harua. So it'll be interesting to see if that group of boys, one of them particularly taking out the title today, or whether Zach Meads will back up his strong performance in the sprint yesterday to win out in the granite today here.
So we've had another two people through, two junior boys through that first radio. So we now have a new lead at that position from Marcus Hedlin in 15:38. So it's looking like he's on a really good run so far.
And our first starters in each class, I'll just read through for the official Australian Schools Champs Challenge. We've got Chase Derulu in the junior boys, Elena Burns in the junior girls, Solomon Randerson in the senior boys, and Ella Hoggs, our first off the rank in the senior girls.
Yeah, so just a bit of an update for the spectators in the crowd there. If you look far behind us up on the top of the hill, you should see a couple of our independent athletes coming in soon, I would assume, but they'll come through back behind us and then they'll come punch the spectator control up on the hill, then they'll do a small loop up on that last bit and then they'll come back down, punch the last control somewhere over there and then do a big loop up into the finish. So should be a good spectacle today.
So what was just said, that was true for the seniors courses. For the juniors, we will hopefully get to see them first with a video out in the forest, and from there they'll only have 2 controls left. So yeah, it looks like it'll be a fast finish in from there, and it'll be good to see them come in, where we'd probably expect them somewhere maybe in the next 20 minutes. It's hard to gauge at this point because it is very technical looking at the map here. So we've had Leo Croxford through the radio control in 1640 in the senior boys. So that's the first senior boy through there that we've had so far.
And you can see those times now coming up on the screen for the athletes coming through Control 75, which, as Riley said, is about halfway through the junior boys course. And I think for the senior boys course, probably more like a third way through.
Yeah, a third of the way through there. The senior boys have a much longer, and the senior girls have a lot more out in the forest there than the juniors do. So the first radio control for the senior classes is about a third of the way through, and then for the junior classes about halfway through. So we should be expecting to see some of the junior independent classes coming through pretty soon. I'll give you an update on that. Now, while we're waiting for some of our independent athletes, I'll have to ask some of you guys, who have you got your money on towards taking out the podium for each of the classes today? I'll probably start off first. For the junior boys, I reckon Zach Meads has got a pretty strong chance out there to take it out. And then, of course, you've got the ACT boys, Hayden Dent, as well as possibly Maddie Maundrell out there. For the junior girls, I would expect the ACT girls as well, Adriana Ishkakova and possibly Katie Hogg, and then possibly a couple of the other Kiwis as well. Apologies, I've just been informed by the crowd. Her pronunciation is Ariadna Ishkakova. When she comes through, I'll see if we can get a couple of words from her if she comes in first, and then I'll make sure to get it correct that time. Now, for the senior boys, it looks like Cooper Hawley is a pretty strong favourite again, and possibly Owen Ratajewski as well. Again, starting 2 minutes behind Cooper for the second day in a row. And possibly Jake McClellan and Jamie Wolford would be up there in the mix as well. And for the senior girls, it's pretty obvious that Tide Fave would probably, I would assume, take out the title today, or possibly Miller and Erica would probably have a good run as well for the Aussies.
Yeah, Miller's pretty strong out there. She had a really good run in the relay on Sunday, so I wouldn't put it past her to have a ripper out there today as well. And Anna, after yesterday, I think she's definitely got the speed, so it'll be interesting to see how she comes through. And I think in the senior boys as well, probably couldn't put it past Ewan Best. I think there's a bit of granite around the ACT that gives him a bit of an edge, so be interested to see how he goes.
Yeah, for sure on this, I think there may be some very different results from what we had in the sprint yesterday. those competitors that did well, they are obviously very, very fast. But we do have quite technical terrain here. It's granite. It's something that's probably unfamiliar to a lot of the competitors. So I'm kind of thinking we could see potentially upsets, especially in the junior classes. Yeah, and I'm excited to see how these results come in.
Yeah, definitely some of the juniors that I've been keeping an eye out on that possibly didn't do their best yesterday could potentially have a massive turnaround today. I mean, some of those younger athletes, they're definitely a lot more emotionally reactive, so they could have had a bad day yesterday and then channeled all their energy right and then possibly have a good run out in the forest today, whereas more of the senior classes, I think the ones who have got the GPS tracking are more likely to possibly come in, although there could be a couple of upsets as well if they've had a pretty good off-season of training as well. So I guess we don't know until the results come up.
Yeah, definitely. Because in those senior classes, they do become a lot more experienced, especially with dealing with a little mistake. Although I won't be surprised in this terrain if there are some runs where they just have a big error that could cost them the lead.
Yeah, I mean, particularly for the junior boys, they've got a pretty long leg from 5 to 6 and 8 to 9, so that could be a big determination of some of the kids smashing some of the route choice as well. We'll see once we get, for the senior classes as well, we'll be able to see when a couple of them get some GPS tracking up there, we'll be able to see some of the stronger routes as well that they would take. So I think a couple of those longer legs after the first radio will definitely determine who takes out the win today.
And you'll see once we get some of the tracking on the screen that there are some really decisive legs, particularly in the seniors, I would say, and I'd be really interested to see the choices people make, particularly regarding the green. There are some really round route choices that you can take, and it'll be interesting to see if they're necessary or if you can bash through and make your way that way. So.
Yeah, when we first saw the courses for today, we had a big discussion about some of these legs where it looks like it's straight through green and rocky green at that. And we were wondering, do you go wide around it? And it is a long detour, but if that's thick and hard to get through, and also it makes the navigation incredibly difficult, it might be worthwhile taking some of those road route choices that take you wide, but it allows you to run fast and not have to navigate so much. Like you have to be very in contact with the map through that.
Yeah, it looks pretty nasty out there. And then after talking to the course setter earlier, Alvin Craig, he definitely says it is doable to go straight, but it is very, very rocky. It is very tough out there. The terrain out there, the grass will just cut you up, basically. If you're prepared to win the championship, then I guess you got to make little sacrifices like that. Just get a bit of blood on your legs, per se, and just send it straight, pretty much. Yeah, so if you look at the big screen up there, you actually have the map for the senior boys, so you can sort of understand what I mean. I mean, 7 to 8 looks like a pretty runnable leg, same as 9 to 10, but 10 to 11, it'll be very interesting to see if some of our athletes just try and aim straight on picking off all the boulders and coming down on possibly that slight open bit there in the middle of the leg, or they go really wide around that minuscule track. It depends. Once we interview some of the athletes, we'll see how visible that track is going north and around, or if some of them go straight. I would assume the likes of, say, Ewan Best and Jake McClellan would probably go straight. It'll be interesting to see what Cooper does, whether he goes around the track or goes straight as well. And as you can see as well, they've got a little last technical loop there that could possibly throw off the difference between a first place and a fourth place out there.
Yeah, that's definitely right. Especially having a technical loop after the excitement of a spectator control, that can really throw you off, because I did it in the relay personally on the weekend. I tried to go that little bit faster, and I made a mistake straight afterwards.
Yeah, and for this course as well, it goes straight into the technical stuff, so straight into the boulders. There's not really much of an opportunity to get into the map straight out of the box, unlike the relay. Definitely a remnant of the Australian Middle Distance Championships there. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty much is just control picking routes, so I would assume those who are a lot more calm and are relaxed out of the box would potentially do well in there and then really open up their legs on those big, long route choice legs.
So to update who has been through the radio controls, in the junior boys we've so far had 8 through, and in the lead is still Marcus. In the junior girls there's been 6 through that first radio. We have Lara Nicole through that in 16-16 in the lead currently. In the senior boys there's been 4 through there, and there's a pretty big lead so far by Leo Croxford, who is about a minute and a half in front of the second place at that point, Finn Van Koolen. And in the senior girls, we've just had a second through, so we've now got Zara Toes and Caitlin Toes through that first radio control. Zara in 22:44 and Caitlin in 32:01. So it looks like there must be some challenges out there to have a pretty big split at that point.
Yeah, we've just got one of our independent athletes up on the screen. It definitely looks like it's a pretty technical course out there. So if you look at the big screen, it is very rocky. There's quite a lot of... Well, it's actually Thurin Halpian up on the screen for the independents. So looks like he's taken a bit of a route there that gets out in the open eye, and he's really opening up his legs now. I believe if you look on the course, that is 11 to 12 there. So he's just about to come into the finish soon, hopefully. So we should see him in a couple of minutes. It'll be good to see if we can get some words from him of how the course was out there.
That's looking like it will be a fairly good time. So currently Thurin is up at 34 minutes, 29 seconds total time. And looks like that'll be the first hot seat for the day.
Yeah, and Thurin is still holding at second through that first radio control, so it will be a strong time, I think.
Yeah, if you just saw up on the big screen there, looks like Thurin was at control 11 there, so looks like we should see him in about a couple of minutes. We've got Felix Hunt, one of the commentators on the camera there.
And we've just had Thurin and William Headley actually through the pre-warning, so we should see both of them through pretty quickly.
Yeah, Thurin coming in a time of 34:55 in first overall, and William Headley 38:56 at the pre-warning as well. So with a winning minute time of about 30 minutes, I would assume, on the junior courses, if I'm correct. That's a pretty good time from Thurin here, so he might hold on to the hot seat for the independent athletes pretty soon. And here comes our first athletes for today. Thurin in the lead and William Headley coming in behind him. Looking pretty strong in the finish here out of the two junior boys here. The two independent athletes just coming up to the last control now, running around the finish chute. And we'll have to await the time now, but give a congratulations, the audience, to your first finisher for the Australian Schools Long Distance Orienteering Championships.
Yeah, they did both download. Well, Riley's just got him in the hot seat. I don't think.
And we've got Thurin up on our hot seat, so Riley will have a chat.
So I've got Thorane here with me, the first finisher for the Australian Secondary Schools Long Distance Orienteering Championship. So, Thu, can you tell me how it was out there? Was it quite physically demanding? Was it quite technically demanding as well? Just give me a run through of your race plan as well.
The course was very rough, I guess. A lot of rocks. Some steep sections going up creeks.
I can see it, but it's not.
Yeah, did you manage to run out there while keeping your ankles safe from any ankle sprains, or did you just hobble a bit and just keep on pushing through?
Hurt my ankle a little bit. I fell into a hole.
Yeah, I would expect a lot of our other athletes to say the same here. Now, did you pretty much be able to run, so 5 to 6, did you go up to the fence gate there and then come along the track, or did you just go straight across the fence? Just give me a rundown for 5 to 6 there for one of the main route choices.
Yeah, I took the fence route, went up the path, and then came up to the creek and followed the creek.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty safe route choice to just absolutely send your legs, particularly being a bit slow in that first bit. Did you find it hard to really run quite hard there, Thu, or did you find it easy for that first couple of bit?
Yeah, the first bit was a bit technical. Yeah, there was a few hiding behind rocks.
Yeah, lastly, before I let you sit up on the hot seat here, what about 8 to 9? Can you talk me through what you did there? Did you go along the track or did you go straight?
Yeah, went along the track and then cut a few corners at some points.
Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause for Thu. If you look up on the big screen, we've got another one of our independent athletes up there. Looks like they're taking the track as well. So it seems like for the junior classes, taking the track's the pretty obvious option compared to the senior classes. We'll see once we get a couple of the senior classes whether they're going along the track as well.
And apparently it's Shari Gilbert we've got up on the screen.
So looking at the junior girls course, this is coming into control 11. So that's second last control, and then they'll come down the gully water course into the final control, and we should see her come in soon, hopefully. Looks like she's close to the control.
It's a really tricky control. It's quite green to the east of the control, and she's come in from the east, so you can see why it's a hard one to find.
Looks like she's taking a catching feature back in there, and we've got another one of our independent athletes there. Looks like that's Izzy in the junior girls class.
Isabel Newton, yeah, coming through to that control 79.
I've just been informed by one of the athletes in the crowd. It's Isabel Walter there. Looks like both of the independent athletes are working together in this last couple of controls in the course out there. So we should see our first finishers in the junior girls class from the independents coming in soon.
And looks like Isabel Walter has found that control 79, so we should see her into the finish shortly.
So I believe we can see Isabel coming through the gate right now into that final control. So she'll be the first finisher in the junior girls.
We've also had our third junior boy at that control before the last control, second last control, Callum Bryant. So we should see him before too long. And we've now got Shari Gilbert at control 79 as well. So she's now got the fastest time at that point.
We've got one of our first junior girls coming in now to the finish. We'll see if we can get some words from her when she's up on the hot seat.
I'll note with Shari's time, that's very close to Isabel's time at that point. They're only 7 seconds apart, so the finish could make all the difference here between those two.
Give her a round of applause for your first finisher in the junior girls class for the Australian Secondary Schools Long Distance Orienteering Championships.
And we have had a few of our official Australian Orienteering Champs athletes through the first radio control. So Elena Burns has come through for the junior girls from Karahui. Thomas Potts for the senior boys from Harua in second place. And Alison Power from the senior girls from Harua in first at that first radio control.
And just now in the finishing arena, we're getting quite a flood of our independent athletes coming in now. So that's good to see that the independent athletes are out here putting on a pretty impressive time. We'll see how they stack up against the overall course winning times today.
And we're just looking at Cassie starting the course on the screen for the GPS tracking. So it'll be interesting to see how she goes through that first leg. Cassie Reinbot, my apologies. And we've had a new fastest time at the first radio in the junior girls from Ella Maya Lang, fellow Victorian. So very exciting.
Now I have with me here our first finisher in the junior girls category, Izzy here. Now Izzy, I talked to Thu before. It looks like it was a very rocky terrain out there, particularly for the first third of the course. Can you tell me, were you a lot more reserved for the first couple of controls, or did you just send it out there?
Well, I was taking it pretty slow around the first few. It was quite rocky and hard to get through, but I reckon towards the end I definitely sped up a bit.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Just some of our independent athletes coming through the finish now. Now, one of your hard legs that we were talking about before, 7 to 8, did you pretty much just take it straight through the track there? Can you talk through me what your plan was for 7 to 8?
Well, my plan pretty much was just following the track, going left past the gate, and then just on the second bend, I just came up into that green. It was really thick through the green, so it was hard to find, but I got it eventually.
Yeah, that's good to hear. That looks like a pretty tough control there. And then did you pretty much find that you could really open up your legs, particularly on that middle bit of the course there?
Yeah, definitely. It was much more clear than around 8 and 9 to run through.
Well done, Izzy. Give a round of applause for our first finisher in the junior girls class today.
And we now have had Shari Gilbert into the finish, who has actually taken the lead away from Isabel, I'm afraid. So it's pretty close between them, only 36 seconds, but unfortunately won't be on the hot seat for too long. And Marcus Hetling has also come into the finish. Marcus was leading earlier in the course, but he must have lost a little bit of time in that second half, and he's now in second. And another new fastest time at our first radio for the junior girls from Sander Halpin. So a lot of movement there. And the first fastest time also in the junior boys from Evan Rees-Jones.
If you look up at the big screen, you can see our GPS tracking in the senior boys class. Oh, no. Looks like it's live, but you can see Oliver Bishop's just a little bit southeast there coming into 3, or is he moving to 3 to 4? We'll see. And we've got Lucas Kent picking off a lot of the boulders coming in from 1 to 2 there. Oop.
And we've just had a new fastest time in the junior girls, so another change. Lara Nicol coming into the finish. And Lara is 20 seconds ahead of Shari Gilbert, so it's a very close race. And we've got Dora Slavic up on the screen there, another one of our independent athletes.
Yeah, the terrain out there certainly looks pretty tough. Lots of fallen over logs and sticks out there, and possibly quite a bit of scratchy bush out there too. So good on the athletes for toughing it out on the courses.
And a new fastest time at our, I guess, pre-warning is that from Zara Toes. I think that's the pre-warning before the spectator loop. So we should see her pretty soon through this sort of spectator area.
Yeah, Zara might be our first finisher in the senior girls class today, so it'll be good to see if we can get some words from her later.
And at that first radio, we've had Ewan Keith through in 15:13. That's a minute and a half lead at the moment. So that's the new benchmark for that first control, or the first radio control.
There's a bit of wildlife here in the commentary booth. Kaz Gregory just had a huge huntsman on his back, so look out for those wildlife out there.
Thankfully, I didn't see it because Aislinn got it off me quick, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, Toph wouldn't have been happy if we would have tried to get rid of the spider and accidentally broken all of his equipment. And we've got Zara Toes just behind us in the senior girls class, coming through the spectator loop now. So this is our last that last loop that we were talking about for the senior classes. Now you can just see her running up the hill now. She's trying to pick off one of the bare rocks or possibly one of the boulders to come into one of the last controls there. It'll be interesting to see how well Zara 2's time pairs up against some of our favourites for today. Possibly could change. We'll have to wait and see.
So in the senior girls, it looks like there's just 4 controls after this spectator. And if I had to estimate it, it'd be about half a K. So it's a pretty short loop, but very technical, very rocky. So could be a place that time will either be made up or lost.
Yeah, definitely that last loop. It seems like a prime spot for a couple of the psyched out athletes to possibly make a mistake. So it's definitely going to be crucial, particularly for the difference between a podium result and not, is making sure that you're nice and clean in that last technical loop, particularly after a couple of the long running legs in the middle part of the course for all of the classes.
At that first spectator control, we have a new lead in the junior girls by Katie Clausen. She is 1.5 minutes up, so that's quite substantial at this point. But of course, anything can happen later in the course.
And if you look up on the big screen, we've got some live footage of Zara 2's navigating this last loop here. Looks like she's taking a very cautious exit in the control. Oop, and we've swapped over to another one of our independent athletes from Auckland, Orienteers. Just been informed that's Lily West on the big screen. And we've got Tour Prince coming into the finish now for the junior boys independents.
And looks like what we suspected out there. We've got a little bit of a train going on. So I don't imagine it'll be the first that we will see, because the technical nature of the terrain means I think we'll get a bit of clumping with some of our athletes out there.
Yeah, 3 of the girls here working towards getting this last control. Looks like they've decided to take a more of a straighter route into one of the controls. And we've got 3 of the girls. Looks like they're punching up to one of our last controls there. Now, I believe that's control 11 on the junior girls course. So we should be seeing them coming through soon. We haven't seen them yet on the radio control pre-warning to the finish. Oh, yes, we have. So 3 of them were actually the senior girls. Apologies, I've just seen on the radio control we've got a group of 3 of them. So Caitlin 2's in 4th, Lily West in 2nd, and Madeline Bell in 3rd coming through on that last pre-warning on the spectator loop.
So the senior girls, they'll still have that last loop to go after they come through here. And we've just had also at the first radio control, Ben Mansell come through in 2nd place. Ben had quite a strong run yesterday. Let's see how he can go over the rest of the course. But at the moment, he's about 2 minutes down on Evan Rees-Jones at that first radio.
And coming into the finish now, it will be Zara 2. She's just punched the pre-warning control, and from there it's just down the hill to that final control in the watercourse.
Yep, and speaking of which, we can see her flying down the hill now, coming into the finish chute. So pretty strong finish here from Zara 2's. And speaking of which, we've got 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the senior girls running in a train here. So that is Caitlin 2's, Lily West and Madeline Bell all working together to get this last loop here.
So it'll be interesting to see how they come through the final few controls, because at the Pre-spectator, Zara was up by about a minute on Lily West. So we'll see how clean they are through that finish, but it could be touch and go.
Yeah, it seems like Zara 2's took about 5 minutes on there, so if some of these girls can have a pretty clean loop, they could possibly pick up on some time, but Zara 2's has put on a pretty good run out here today as she's coming through the finish now. Give her a round of applause for your first finisher in the senior girls class today.
And a few battle wounds there for Zara, I think. So pretty rough out there. And I think it'll be interesting. I think when you're in a train, it can kind of go either way. It can be really helpful and you can get through quite quickly, or you can kind of feed off each other and make it worse. So it'll be interesting to see how these girls go. And we've had our winner from yesterday, Ariadna Ishikova, through our first radio control, and she is currently in 5th. She's 3 minutes 19 down on Katie Clausen. And our second place in the senior boys at the moment, Lucas Kent, also through that first radio control. Lucas is just 16 seconds down on the current leader, Ewan Keith.
And we've got a new leader, Lilia Lehoten, in the senior girls class coming into our pre-warning radio control for our spectator here. So it'll be interesting to see what time she comes in here today.
And she's got quite a lead there, 2 minutes 38, so it's pretty strong from her. Lilia, I believe, bringing that Finnish pedigree into her orienteering. So I think the technical terrain of her home country will be helpful. And you can just see Lilia coming through behind us at the moment.
Yeah, so it looks like she's taking it pretty chillaxed for this loop here. So it looks like she's taking more of a straight route to the control instead of dipping down the hill a bit and then coming back up. So it'll be interesting to see what time Lily comes in through the finish here. But while we wait for Lilia here, I have the leaders for the junior girls and senior girls category here, Lara Nickel and Zara Twos, both from New Zealand. So we'll start off with you, Lara. Was that pretty technical out there? Were you able to pretty much send it pretty fast through that first technical loop here, or did you take it nice and reserved as well?
I went quite slowly, just like checking, but it had a lot of like features that you could see to catch and help you make it around. And so I just like kept slow and just kept getting straight and in line.
Yeah, and did you make up for that by sending it particularly in that middle part of the course, particularly 7 to 8? I assume you would have barreled it down the track there.
Yeah, I ran quite fast along here, and then once I got to the gates, I knew where to go. But I kind of overshot a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like number 11's pretty hard for that last bit there. Did you find that pretty easy?
Yeah, I found it quite quickly, partly because there was a cameraman right there, so I could see it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, now we've got 3 of our independent athletes coming through now before I interview Zara here. Give a round of applause for these athletes coming through here.
And we've just had 2 of our senior boys, our first senior boys, through the pre-warning for the spectator loop in Leo Croxford and Finn Van Keulen, so we should see them behind us shortly also. And it looks like Leo and Finn might be running together there. There's almost exactly 6 minutes between them. So.
All right, now back to interviewing our athletes in the hot seat. We've got Zara Twos, the first finisher in the senior girls class and still the current lead. So, Zara, you've got a bit of a different course out there, particularly wow, that was a lot harder than the juniors, particularly in a lot of that technical bits there. Now, were you able to get into the map straight away, or was it pretty difficult to get into it, particularly with the rocky terrain out there?
I think it was really good. There was a lot of different terrain out there. I definitely was a little bit lost, well, not lost, but off in the control circle for the first couple and had to look up and saw it nearby. So yeah, it was pretty tricky, but there's definitely some open areas in the middle of the course that you can just open up a little bit and run quite fast.
Yeah, I assume 6 to 7, that was a pretty runnable leg. We'll have a look at the GPS tracking a bit later on today. Now, 8 to 9, the question that we've been wondering today, did you pretty much send it straight through all the boulders, or did you go really wide around the track there?
Nah, straight through the dark green.
Typical Kiwis, battling it tough out there. Well done, Zara.
And we've actually just had Georgia Lindrews at that first radio control in second place, and we must have missed earlier. Alison Power was currently in the lead from Harua, and there's about 2.5 minutes between them. So quite a strong lead for Alison, and Georgia, who was quite successful yesterday, also having a pretty good run.
We've just had a new lead to the pre-warning in the junior boys. So that's Baxter Peel, currently a minute up on Thurin.
And we should have our little senior girls train coming into the finish quite soon. Madeline Bell, Lily West and Caitlin Toes. So they've held on to their 2nd, 3rd and 4th place.
It's just interesting looking at their times through that. It looks like they've dropped a little bit more time post-spectator, possibly about 2 minutes extra on Zara.
Speaking of the devil, we've got our train of 3 senior girls just behind us, and we've got a couple of more senior girls coming through on the spectator loop, so they're crossing over there, as well as we've got a lot of athletes coming into the finish now, so this will be pretty entertaining to see. Oh, that's the first. The 3 senior girls taking a different route compared to everyone else, just jumping across the fence instead of going through the gate there.
And a new fastest time on the pre-warning for the junior girls for Sander Halpin. So we should see Sander in the finish pretty soon.
So we should see Baxter Peel at the finish control right about now. And that looks like it'll be a new lead time in the junior boys. And speaking of the pre-warning for Sander Halpin, that is a 4-minute lead. So looks like she's had a really good run out there.
And we can see Sander running down the finish now. So she will take a commanding lead. And we've also had in the junior boys at the pre-warning Evan Rees-Jones. So we should see Evan quite soon. And again, Evan also has a very commanding lead in 4 minutes ahead of Baxter Peel. And James Wright is first at the first radio control in the senior boys. And he has a 29-second lead over Ewan Keith at the moment.
Looks like we've got a new lead in the junior girls and the senior girls. Katie Clausen coming through first in the spectator, and Alison Power in the senior girls. We'll have to see how much ahead they are compared to the other girls there. And we've got a new leader in the junior boys in Evan Rees-Jones, first place in 30 minutes, 49 seconds. We'll see if we can get some words from him later.
So for that pre-warning control, Katie Clausen is 3 minutes 40 up on Sander, and then another 8 minutes on Lara. While Alison Power in the senior girls is 2 minutes 20 in front at the moment.
And we've got Katie Clausen running into the finish now with a very large lead over second place. And Katie Clausen finishes first in the junior girls. She is 3 minutes and 52 seconds ahead of Sander Halpin, so very fast run out there for Katie.
Oh, we have new leader in the senior boys, Alex Wolford in first place, followed by Miles Bryant in second place. It looks like they've punched the controls 4 seconds apart from each other, so looks like they're in a group there. And so it'll be interesting to see if any of them have tracking out there. Oh, and we've got a big train coming into the finish now. Looks like a lot of the junior girls will have to wait and see.
And I believe we've got our first senior boy coming into the finish shortly in Finn Van Koolen. He's been at the pre-warning, so we should see him shortly.
And we've got Finn Van Luken and Lilia Lahoten coming through the finish now in the senior classes. We'll have to wait and see if they take out the overall spot here for first place. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it looks like Finn is our first senior boy to finish, and Lilia's in second place.
And I see Leo Croxford closely following him behind as well there.
And we've just had some updates from that first radio control where Nika Rayward has taken a new lead in the senior girls, 2 minutes 33 up on Allison. And just before, Rebecca Craig came through that as well in a third place at that point. So it'll be interesting to see how they can finish off this course.
And I'm told, unfortunately, our GPS tracking signal is not particularly strong out there today, so we might see a few replays, but unfortunately we're not going to get a lot of live images.
And it looks like Lilia Lahoten has finished in second place in the senior girls, so Zara 2 is still holding on to the hot seat there. Looks like up on the big screen we've got an ACT girl running there. I would assume it's not Ella. Possibly Ari Iskrakova there coming through now.
Yes, it is Ariadna Ishkova, our winner from yesterday, on the screen right now. And we've had a new second place through the first radio in the senior boys from Matthew Greenwood from Harua.
So Anna Batchelor, who just came to the finish, is now in fifth place. So That's a pretty solid result. About 5 minutes down on the current lead. So you'll see on the screen Ella Hogg. I believe she's coming into the spectator control right behind us.
And Ella's currently sitting in 5th, so she's 6 minutes 22 down on our current leader, Alison Power.
And I think she was running with another senior girl there. She might have dropped him.
And Ben Mansell's come through the pre-warning as well in the junior boys in 3rd place at the moment, behind Evan Rees-Jones and Baxter Peel.
That looks like a very close battle for second with Baxter. They're only 1 second apart at that point. So it'll really depend on how clean through the finish they both
1,
are.
2.
Yeah, if you look up on the big screen there, it looks like Ella Hogg was using one of the Bear Rocks as an attack point coming into this control up here. Now, this last loop after the spectator looks pretty tricky, so it's very crucial that you don't make a mistake in there, particularly if you're wanting to get one of the podium spots.
And we've had Ariadna through the pre-warning for the spectator, currently in 5th, about 6 minutes down on the lead at that point. But she might be able to make up a bit in this final section because Katie Clausen, whilst being 6 minutes ahead at that point, was clear of everyone else by about 3.5 minutes. So it's very possible a battle for second could be in place at that point.
Yep, and I believe we have Ariadna Ishikova coming through the finish now, so it'll be interesting to see if she'll take the top spot here. Or... Oh, sorry. Ariadna...
And a new 2nd place at the first radio in the senior girls from Phoebe Hunt from Karahiwi, and she is 1 minute 51 down on the current leader, Nika Raywood.
And we have a dark horse who's emerged out there. Quinn Lomas in 2nd place at the first radio control in the junior boys. That's a bit of a shocker there. We didn't see that coming.
My bad.
And I just missed there, at the first radio control we had through only 14 seconds down on Alex Wolford in the senior boys was Blake McKinnon. So that will be a very tight tussle.
While we have a couple of the New Zealand athletes up on the big screen following with the GPS tracking, I figure I should interview a couple of the New Zealand athletes up on the hot seat here. We'll start with you, Evan, the current lead in the junior boys class. You've been sitting up here for a while now. Did you find it pretty technical to get into the mat? Was it really hard to get into that first third of the course, or did you just pretty much send it out there?
I felt like I was taking it slow at the start because it took a while to kind of get used to the terrain, but after that, it felt really good.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that mid part of the course, particularly 5 to 6 and 8 to 9. Now, I'm assuming you went around the track 8 to 9? Now, that last control in there, control 11, we've been seeing up on the big screen that a lot of competitors have been having trouble with that last control. Did you...
No, sorry to interrupt there briefly. We've just got Alison Power running into the finish for 1st place in the senior girls. So she currently has a lead of 1 minute and 34 seconds over Zara Toes.
Now, with that last control there, did you find that particularly tricky coming into 11 there, or did you pretty much go around the clearing into the control?
I kind of just went straight and found the little spur with the bare rocks and just went straight to it.
All right. Thank you, Evan. We'll move on to you now, Finn. One of the Kiwis in the lead for the senior boys class. Or something
Just a new fastest time at the first radio in the senior boys from Ewan Best. So I did think Ewan would be on for a pretty good run today, and he is looking strong.
Yeah, so he might be potential to knock out the hot seat. But for now, Finn, you've absolutely sent it out there. You're our first finisher in the senior boys class. So, Finn, did you work with anyone out there on the course, or did you just pretty much go out there all by yourself leading?
I was in a little group around the big league 7 to 8, and I was in front of the group, but the first bit was very technical, and number 3 I got to the control, but checked the wrong control description and went away from the control, and then realised and came back, so lost a bit of time there, but pretty happy with the rest of my race.
Yeah, I'm assuming by the state of your legs and all the cuts and bruises on you, I'm assuming you went straight from 10 to 11, that rocky technical bit. I'm assuming you didn't go straight down.
No, I did take the track there. It looked a lot faster. Going through the green would have been quite a fight, but yeah.
Well done, Finn. We'll now move on to our current lead in the junior girls class.
I'll just briefly interrupt to say that we should see Ella Clausen finish in right now, which will put her into second place behind Katie.
So looks like Katie will come out first in the sibling battle.
And looks like we've got Ella Hogg as well coming through to the finish now.
So Ella Clausen finishes there in second place, 2 minutes and 5 seconds behind her sister.
And to update on the pre-warning for the spectator, we have Jonathan Nolan only 3 seconds behind Finn at that point in second, coming into the spectator. So there's not far to go from there. So it'll be a tight battle between those two. And we'll see if Finn can retain the hot seat.
So we've got Jonathan Nolan up on the screen. He was very, very close in second. So only 3 seconds behind. But he looks like he's losing a little bit of time here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can come in a bit stronger here, or possibly will Evan keep the hot seat here in the lead. I have with me the current lead in the senior girls class from New Zealand, Alison Power. Now, Alison, did you find it easy to get into the map, or did you go slow, or were you one of the rare people who just went out fast for the first third of the course?
So I think for the first one, my aim was I'll just get to the fence as quickly as I possibly can, and I'll go careful from there. So I did I did start off fairly fast, but then I had to go quite slowly for the next few controls, and that kind of got me into how the rocks worked and everything.
Yeah, when we look at the GPS tracking later, it looks like controls 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's quite a hilly, rocky bit there. Did you manage to pick up all the boulders, or did you just simplify it using the contours there?
Well, on my way to 3, I was pretty good. I could sort of tell where the really big boulders were, and I used those to sort of anchor myself as I went along the side of the hill. And then once I'd come around that spur into 3, I could see the control, and I knew I could pick it up from there.
Now, I have to ask as well, 8 to 9, which is the same as 10 to 11 on the senior boys course. Did you go around the track just like Finn, or did you go straight through the boulders?
No, I went straight through the boulders. I think some people could get lots of time, get made up on the track, but I'm definitely someone who would prefer just to bash straight through and down. Even though I did run through the white on the way to 9, that was really fast and really fun as well. And I think overall that was probably the best route for me.
Well done, Alison. We will move on now to the current lead in the junior girls class, Katie Clausen from Tasmania now. Katie, was that a pretty good run out there? I mean, you Tasmanians are notorious for being really good in the forest, so can you just talk through a bit of your game plan out there today?
I was really nervous at the start because I saw Ariadne was 2 minutes behind me and I was looking over my shoulder the entire course.
Yeah, fair enough.
We just got Sophie Hartman running down the finish there into 3rd place.
Yeah, so another brilliant result from the Tassie girls out there, potentially taking out the overall title for the junior girls, hopefully. But now, did you pretty much hold on to some of the good, strong running legs here, or did you drop off the pace a bit there?
I'm not much of a runner. I did do some walking at some times. I mostly ran along the track and then walked a bit at the end, but I mostly tried to focus on getting good route choices so I didn't have to run as fast.
Yeah, well, it definitely looks like that was the right choice. No mistakes, obviously. It was fun, I guess, if you walked a bit because you're still in the hot seat here, the overall leader in the junior girls class. Well done.
So at that first radio, we've had Tide Fave into 2nd at that point. A minute down on Nika Raywood, but that's still pretty early in the course for the senior girls. And also in the junior boys, we've had a new 3rd into that radio control by Thomas Caristo. And that's only 48 seconds down, so it looks like it's a very tight race in the junior boys, especially in the early part of the course. Now on screen, you'll see a bit of a replay for the senior boys for those first couple of controls. And this has been mass start synced to compare how their controls are going. And you can see that Ewan Best seems to have a very good start there.
Yeah, he seems to pick off the boulders really, really well now. And just behind us, while we're looking at the tracking, Georgia Lindrus in the senior girls is coming through now. She was 3rd in the pre-warning spectator, but yeah, she's looking like she's having a pretty clean run there. So it'll be interesting to see if she can pick up the time, but
And a new 3rd place at that first radio for Xavier White in the junior boys. He is 41 seconds down on the lead, so it's a pretty close race in the junior boys at the moment.
Yeah, that's mapping, whereas for course setting, that's what I do. I set the courses and then go to Morris and say, you fix the base map. This needs to be going this, that.
So in the pre-warning to the finish, we've just had Jonathan Nolan in a new 1st place at the pre-warning, but 13 seconds up. So that might stay, but it could be touch and go if nailing that last control would be very important.
And I think that's possibly Joel Nolan maybe behind us in the spectator loop there, and that's Alicia McGibbon as well. So
And we can just see Jonathan Nolan coming to that last control now. So let's see how quickly he can get down that finish chute.
Yeah, Jonathan Nolan coming in now through New South Wales. We'll see what time he comes in. Oh, second place, 20 seconds down. So Kiwi still reigning the hot seat.
Yeah, it must have just been a little loss of time at the end there for Jonathan. So very close race there. And we've just had Nicola Raywood, who is leading the senior girls, come through the pre-warning for the spectator loop. So she's currently got a lead of, I think it's 4 minutes and 7 seconds over Alison Power. So she's having a very, very strong run.
And we've just got a couple of the junior boys runners incoming now.
We should see Thomas Potts and James Milne come into the finish very shortly. At the moment, it's looking like that will put Thomas into third place, but it's about 6 minutes down on Jonathan and Finn at back control.
And yeah, we've just got Nika Raywood in the senior girls from New Zealand coming through on the pre-warning for the spectator there.
And I missed Ollie Bishop in that. He's coming in as well. Currently in fifth. So he looks like he's lost a little bit of time, but we'll see what the final result is.
And we've had Kari Brennan through our first radio there, and she is a bit down. So Kari having a bit of a tough day out there, I think. She's currently in 25th.
And Liana Stubbs as well in 20th, one of the favourites. So certainly looks like you can depend on the day out here for some of the athletes who I thought would be the favourites. And we've just got Rebecca Craig now coming in third place, 5.5 minutes down on the current lead in the senior girls class there. So it'll be interesting to see if she can pick up some time on that last loop.
I believe we missed this before, but Aiden Tomlins came in the junior boys a little bit ago now, but into second place. So looks like a great run by Aiden.
Yeah, if I believe I'm correct, it looks like he was running with Edmund Toomey, who came in 7th, and Troy King there. So good job on Aiden. Good result for the Queensland junior boys. Now we've just got Eddie Swain coming in 5th from New Zealand at the first radio control for the senior boys class, followed by Isaac Butler in 8th. So it looks like the pair of them are bunching up into a pack. So just as I expected, it looks like a lot of these athletes are grouping up in to make it easier out there, particularly in a couple of those tough bits. Now, if you just look behind you, we just see Rebecca Craig coming through now in the spectator arena. It'll be interesting to see if she can pick up some time here in this final loop if she navigates that really well. And another senior girl, Georgia Lindrews, coming into the finish now. It'll be another interesting thing to see if she can take over the hot seat or she'll potentially just have a podium place there. Doesn't matter for the New Zealanders. They've still got a lot of people in the hot seat up here.
Yeah, Rebecca Craig, she is 5 minutes 30 down on Nika Haywood there, but she is actually not that far down on Alison Power, only about a minute, I believe. So if she could change her placing a little bit in this last loop.
Oh, and it looks like it's really heating up here in the senior girls. We've got a new lead in one of the radio controls, Phoebe Hunt now, and Naomi Penton in 4th for the junior girls as well. Just about under 3 minutes down on the current lead.
And Phoebe looks like is just 33 seconds ahead of Nika Raywood, so really close there.
And in the junior boys class, Patrick Maundrell coming in 5th for their first radio control. So looks like he's had a pretty good run out there today. And Georgia Lindrews coming through the finish now. We'll have to wait on her results to see if she takes over. Oh, she comes in 2nd, so spot still safe on the hot seat there. Never mind, we've got Erica Enderby in the senior girls coming in 1st, and that first radio control must be followed by Anna Babington. So it looks like Erica Enderby's caught Anna Babington there. And another thing to mention, Sam Carrier, 4th in that first radio. And for the junior boys, Quinn Lomas still in second, a minute 20 seconds down on the lead. So followed by Shay Sweeney in 3rd for the junior boys. So it looks like those two boys are working together. So well done on them for having a potential upset placing here.
But we do have 2 new fastest times through the first radio in the junior boys and the junior girls. So Rowan Braid through first for the junior boys and Anna Wright through first for the junior girls.
Never mind, Rory Shedden has just got in first. So it looks like Rowan Braid and Rory Shedden are possibly working here together. So looks like things are really heating up now.
Looks like Rory's on a blinder of a run. He's about a minute and a half up at that point, and the next 6 were all within about a minute of each other. So that's a big commanding lead for how competitive it is for the rest of the competitors.
Yeah. And just before we had Phoebe Hunt on the TV screen, now we have a massive train of finishers coming in, and it looks like we've got Quinn Lomas in that pack as well. So it'll be interesting to see if he can hold on to his lead or if Rory Shedden will get there.
And we've actually just had Alex Wolford at the pre-warning before the spectator loop, currently in the lead.
With Miles Bryant in 2nd place there. So a minute 58 difference between Miles and Alex. I can only assume that they're working together. And Quinn Lomas coming in 2nd for the junior boys there. So the hot seat still taken over by the Kiwis, but it's looking like a pretty good shot for the Aussies here. But we assume with the likes of Rory Shedden and Rowan Braid, it should be pretty tight in the junior boys. Now, if you look up at the big screen, we're just looking at the GPS tracking of the senior girls, and looks like Erica Enderby, Tide Fave taking a wide route from there. Oh no. Looks like she's made a mistake there, but...
And we've just had another fastest time in the senior boys at that first radio. So Owen Radajewski is currently in first place there, and he actually has a minute lead over Ewan Best.
Yeah, so also behind us is Alex Wolford and Miles Bryant working together, taking out the senior boys, but it looks like Owen Radajewski might take that lead now. Looks like before in that GPS tracking, some of the senior girls had a bit of trouble here. And we can just see Lucas Kent up on the screen here on the live tracking. Looks like he's punching one of the last controls before the spectator loop. Oh, and we see Juliet Freeman and I believe one of the Queensland runners there.
So Zach Meads running into the finish there, and not quite the commanding performance that Zach had yesterday. He is in 24th.
Yeah, I've just seen on the spectator there and the radio control as well, sorry. Cassie Rainbot in 20th and Juliet Freeman second, 2 seconds down on the current lead at that spectator. Phoebe Hunt in 34.50, Juliet 34.52. So, that was a big fall there. To be expected with lots of stuff underfoot there. And we see a massive train of runners coming through now.
We should see Nika Rayward and Rebecca Craig coming into the finish very shortly. So they're currently in 1st and 2nd at that point. But Nika in 1st and 5 minutes ahead of Rebecca. But we should see them coming straight into the finish chute.
Oh my gosh, Owen Radajewski has caught Cooper Hawley at the first spectator. Owen Radajewski currently has overtaken the lead on Ewan Best, a minute ahead, and Cooper Hawley coming in 10th at the first radio control there. I did not expect that. So speaking of which, we should be expecting Rebecca and Nika coming in very soon.
Nick has just run into the finish, so confirmed she is currently in the lead, and a very, very big lead there.
6:44.
6:44. That's a very commanding lead there. Yeah. And we've got Phoebe Hunt in 1st overall in their senior girls finish pre-finish warning, so we should see Phoebe Hunt soon.
And at that first radio, a new lead in the junior boys, Maddie Maundrell, 6 seconds up on Rory Shedden at that point. So it all comes down to how well they can do the last loop.
And we've got a pretty big train of runners coming through now here. And we've got Rebecca Craig coming through the finish now. We've also got Phoebe Hunt coming through now, trying to hop over the fence there.
And
So
Phoebe's going to run into a new first place, I believe. She was first at that pre-warning before the finish.
Yep, and Rebecca Craig comes into second, but we assume she'll drop down to third place overall when Phoebe Hunt comes through here. Yeah, we've got an interesting tracking from Tide 5A, control 8 to 9. So this is the leg that we'd been talking about. It's same leg in the senior boys for 10 to 11. Wow, that is a very interesting tracking there. Tide smashing that leg there. So it looks like she's made up on the mistake she made earlier there. And we just saw Phoebe Hunt coming through the finish now. We'll just await on her results. First overall, so she'll take over the hot seat for the senior girls class.
And another pretty big gap there. She is 2 minutes ahead of Nika Raywood.
At the first radio in the senior girls, though, we have had a new lead. Miller Key, 23 seconds up on Erica Enderby at that point.
Yeah, and Jake McClellan, one of the possible favourites in the senior boys in 6th there, so in the first radio. So it'll be, things are shaping up to be a lot more different to what I thought here, so it's quite good there.
And just James Milne, at Rego we've got your SI, which I think you might be missing. So if you are looking for your SI, go to the Rego, James Milne.
Just from ACT there, AFE Rothery, finishing in 7th for the senior girls. So pretty good result from her.
And Phoebe, when you're ready, we'll get you into the hot seat.
Now in the second GPS, in the second radio control, we've got Tide 5A coming in first, about 1:53 ahead of Phoebe Hunt on that second radio control there. Now in the senior boys, we've got Alex Wolford and Miles Bryant again, first and second, about 1:58 separating them. So we can only assume 2 seconds difference between punching the controls. So we should see, yep. We see Miles and Alex coming through now, leaping over that fence like it's nothing. So the two of them boys will come in first and second here, but Alex Wolford will take the hot seat. And we've got a new second and first here in the senior boys class from Alex Wolford and Miles Bryant. It'll be interesting to see if these boys can hold on to their spots or if the likes of Ewan Best and Owen Radajewski can overtake them. And we've also got a fair few of our athletes coming through the spectator loops there. And we'll cut to the GPS tracking. Oh, Liana Stubbs taking a very interesting route here. So she really takes the track from 8 to 9 here. So that's complete opposite of what Tide 5A did. It'll be interesting to compare their splits. So looks like she went to the track there. Looks like she must have stopped for a bit of a rest there.
And I'm here with Phoebe Hunt. Phoebe, we're just seeing that really decisive leg from 8 till 9. So what did you make of that one?
I was deciding, while I was going up the rock, I was looking at the fence around the top, south, or going down to the track, and then I just come up from 7, and I wore leggings for a reason, so I went straight back down as fast as I could, just looking up for the clearings to run into the easier bits, and then, just around the track in the bottom, and I saw a snake, so that made me run faster.
You've done really well. It looks like you've come through pretty unscathed, so you must have been running quick out there. How did you find the rest of the course? Did you find it really technical, or were you able to kind of take it a bit slower and manage the challenge?
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed at myself from the start, didn't have such a great start to the course on number 3, and number 4 I was just a bit flustered, so I was a bit annoyed at myself, but I knew I had to just regather myself and focus on the rest of the course. So then, on 8 to 9 when I was flying, I was quite happy with that. And then saw my brother on the camera out in the last loop, so that gave me a bit of extra motivation.
Well, yeah, it can be really hard to calm down again after making a few wobbles. So really well done for putting it together and having a strong finish there. So congratulations.
Yeah, it looks like Juliet Freeman's coming in second at the finish pre-warning, so it looks like Phoebe Hunt will probably still take it since Juliet's a minute and 20 seconds down there. And we have a new lead in the senior boys class, Ewan Best, just like we expected, coming in 37.09 in the second radio there. So it'll be interesting to see if Alex Wolford can hang on.
And through that radio a little bit earlier as well, we had Blake McKinnon into third, so about a minute 40 behind Alex at that point. So I wonder if Alex can tell us how clean the final part of his course was, whether that could be a place for places to change.
Yeah, and before we get some words from Alex, Xavier White in the junior boys class in their radio control was 54 seconds down on Evan Reams-Jones there. So Juliet Freeman coming into the finish now, but we'll see how Alex went out there.
So I'm just here with Alex now, and did you find that last spectator loop a bit of a decisive loop there, Alex?
I just tried to stick with Miles and hang on, really. I was pretty dead from the first loop. I just walked up the hill to the second last control, so the third last control, that was tough, but I held on and then tripped over the finish chute, which is nice.
And did you find having a company out there helpful or a bit of a hindrance?
It was definitely helpful. Like, as I said, going to the longer legs, this is not my map, but that's all right. It was going up here, like being able to chase someone up there was good. We did split the routes quite a bit, and we ended up just together at the controls, so that was good. But
and I have to ask you about that decisive leg through the green. What did you make of it? Did you go straight and get a bit cut up, or did you decide to go around the track?
I went straight an angle down the hill so I could get to the track a bit closer to the control, and Miles was in the lead at that point, and I did catch up because he went wide to the track, go straight through the green and hit the track just before the control.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, congratulations, you've got around, and it will be interesting to see how the rest of the field goes, but good lead at the moment. Well done.
Well done, Alex. While we were interviewing Alex, we had Ewan Best on the tracking there. He's still in first overall, and we just had Tide Fave at the last radio control before the finish there. Now, another interesting topic, Alex's older brother, Jamie Wolford, for the first radio control coming in 15th. So a couple of the favourites that I thought would take out the title today, coming out a bit slower at the first radio control than I expected. Oh, we'll have to change to the finishing loop now. Tide Fave possibly about to come in first here to take the hot seat from Phoebe Hunt. So it'll be quite a good run from Tide here.
And we also just missed a series of second places finishing with Xavier White in the junior boys, Greta Prince in the junior girls, and that was, I believe, could have been the senior girls. It's just disappeared off the screen, so we'll update you on that.
But for now, have a look up at the big screen. We can see Erica Enderby there. She's possibly one of the favourites. We haven't seen her up on the O-Link starter yet, but she could potentially have a good run out here today. It'll be interesting to see how she goes against Tide Fave.
And we've just had the pre-warning for Rory Shedden in first place, almost 5 minutes up at that point. So it's looking like a commanding run.
Yeah, so it seems like Rory Shedden has certainly put the foot down, and it'll be interesting to see if he's still with... Oh, looks like it's just Rory Shedden there, possibly coming through the finish. And while we look at Rory Shedden coming through the finish now, Torin Jorgensen in the junior girls class in second overall at the first radio control there. So followed by Katie Hogan 21st. So it looks like the pair of them will be working together here.
So now, here comes Rory Shedden running into the finish to take a lead of, I think, about 3 minutes. Yep, so confirmed 4 minutes and 54 seconds. Rory is ahead of you and Reece Jones.
And cutting back to the senior boys, we've just got Blake McKinnon coming through to the finish now. Looks like he's had a pretty good run there. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes there. And Rowan Braid as well coming up for the pre-warning for the junior boys, coming in second. So good run for Rowan here. It'll be interesting to see how he goes against Matty Maundrell and Hayden Dent.
We've just had Matthew Greenwood finish in the senior boys, about 5 minutes down on Alex's time. But we've also just had the pre-warning for the finish for Ewan Best. So he's in first at that point, about 2 minutes up on Alex. So if he can get a clean finish, it looks like he'll take the lead.
Yeah, Alex Wolford's still got the hot seat. So Blake McKinnon coming in second overall, but we assume that'll change when Ewan Best comes in. And speaking of which, Ewan Best and Rowan Braid charging through the finish now. To be interesting to see if either of them takes the lead. I would expect Ewan would take a pretty commanding lead here. Rowan Braid 3.5 minutes down on Rory Shedden there. So we'll have to wait and see. Ewan Best time is charging through the finish now. Will he take the hot seat for Tasmania? And he does. He beats Alex Wolford by 1 minute and 55 seconds there. So well done, Ewan.
Have we mentioned?
And Erica Enderby, we have picked up her on the second radio control in first place. 41 seconds ahead of Type 5A there. So we could see her before on the GoPro. Now, it looks like she might have a pretty good time here, so it'll be interesting to see if we see her soon in the spectator loop there.
At the first radio control, we've had Ben Marshall in the junior boys at third at that point, 20 seconds down on Matty Maundrell, and 14 seconds down on our current lead, Rory Shedden. So it's looking like a tight race. It'll all depend on that second half of the course.
Yeah, it certainly seems like some of the junior boys who were pretty clean and straight throughout that first technical bit of the course just had the opportunity to open their legs up on that middle bit there. And if you look back up at the big screen, we can see GoPro tracking, of Erica Enderby, possibly the current leader of the senior girls class. It'll be interesting to see if she takes the overall lead. And you can just see her now in the arena. She's following along pretty strong here. It'll be interesting to see if she has a nice clean run through that last 4 controls, because if she can, it'll be very certain that she'll take the lead here in the senior girls class. And while we watch Erica Enderby running through the spectator loop there, some notable results. So Anna Wright 5th in the junior girls class and Nick Stanley 5th in the senior boys class. Now Nick Stanley was only 6 minutes behind Ewan Best there, so that's a pretty good run from him. And we'll change to Callum Dagenhar in the junior boys class, 4th overall, 1 minute 4 behind Matty Maundrell in that first bit there. So we should be expecting some of those junior boys. Yep, Matty Maundrell, 2nd overall, 1 minute 6 seconds down on Rory Shedden. So on their second radio control there, and Anna Babington, 6th. In the senior girls' second radio control. 6 minutes and 19 seconds down on Erica Enderby, still on the big screen now. So Erica walking up the hill there.
So it looks like Maddie has lost a little bit of time on Rory in that second half of the course. Been about 1 minute down at that point when at the first radio was in front by 6 seconds. So looks to have lost about 1 minute, but that's easy to do in this terrain.
Well, we'll see how much time Matty Maundrell can pick up on the finish shoot here. We just see the ACT runner coming through now. So it'll be interesting to see if he can take the hot seat from Rory Shedden here. Matty Maundrell just coming up to the finish now. Will he take the lead from Rory Shedden? We will wait and see. Oh, he comes in second place. So Rory Shedden has still got the hot seat there. Pretty good run from Matty Maundrell, but looks like he might have made a mistake on that second half of the course there.
And I'm just here with our current leader, Rory Shedden. Rory, how did you find those decisive long legs out there?
Oh yeah, it was pretty good. I only made one mistake right at the start, but other than that, pretty clean.
Yeah, did you find it pretty rough, or did you use the kind of clear areas to make it a bit easier running?
Yeah, no, I found it pretty easy running. I just used the open yellow areas and the tracks.
And do you really like this kind of granite terrain usually?
Yeah, I normally seem to do pretty well in this, so that's good.
Yeah, congratulations. Continue your success from yesterday, so well done.
Now, if you look up on the big screen... Oh, never mind. We've got Matty Maundrell's younger brother, Patrick Maundrell, coming through the finish here now.
And we've had a lot of changes on our hot seat here, although I must note Katie Clausen has been holding her place for quite a while, so well done, Katie. And I'm just here with Tide Fave. Tide, how did you find the course?
It was pretty good. I think most of it was clean, so yeah, I was happy with that.
Yeah, and I'll have to keep asking, how did you find that decisive leg through the green? Did you get a bit ripped up, or did you manage to avoid the worst of it?
I feel like there was quite a few little tracks that I just kind of slipped through. But I did make a mistake on number 1, which was not great.
Do you have a bit of a habit? I know I have a bit of a habit of going a bit too hot out of the blocks and losing my head, so how do you find that?
Yeah, I just had my map very much disorientated and it was just not ideal.
Yeah, well, you having a really strong run, so congratulations. But we do have a few Aussies behind you, so it will be interesting to see how you hold up.
We should see a Queensland top coming into the finish shortly with Adrian Garbolini currently in third place at the pre-warning. About 1:50 down on Rory, so it looks like Rory's still looking good for the lead there, but Adrian could come into a podium finish for the time being.
And we've just had Erica Enderby as well in the senior girls' last radio control. 5 seconds down on Tide Fave, so she's got to make a really strong finish here if she wants to take the lead here today. And speaking of which, we do see a Queensland top with Adrian Garbolini coming through now. It'll be interesting to see what time he gets. 3rd overall for the junior boys class there. And we've got a fair few more runners. And here comes Erica Enderby. It'll be down to the last finish sprint to see if she can get the spot from Tide 5A of the winner of the senior girls class in the Australian Schools Long Distance Orienteering Championships. It's all down to this last finish sprint here. Can she run through, or will Tide 5A take the top seat here? It's coming down to the last moments here. Will she get the spot? Oh, 4 seconds down on Tide 5A. So she will take the overall Australian Championship winner, but Tide 5A takes the overall spot. Still gets to stay in the hot seat there. And Jemima Hoskin as well, coming in 4th in the junior girls class. 2.5 minutes down on Katie Clausen still. So the hot seat, looks like the hot seat still staying hot here.
And we did just have a new 3rd fastest time in the junior boys at the first radio in Matthew Layton. And Matthew's actually only 13 seconds down on the lead. So that is an extremely close class.
Now we'll just cut back to the GPS tracking up on the big screen. Looks like Eric Love, Will Barnes, Cooper Hawley, Duncan Skill taking the straight route. Matthew Greenwood going around the fence there, and then Ewan Best and Lucas Kent taking the track there. So if Ewan Best is still sitting up on the hot seat, it looks like that's probably the best route to take if you're one of the senior boys there.
And I'm just here with Ewan. Ewan, do you find you like those routes where you get to kind of get out onto the track and get the legs really turning over?
Oh, look, I found it on the way to 10. I went through a bit of the dark green and went, well, this is a bit crap. So I kind of looked at the 2 routes and went, yeah, it's not really a no-brainer. I'm not going through. And I was like, well, I mean, it's such a technical course. It's really well set, and there's so many easy areas for error, especially as you get tired. So I was like, we'll play it safe and try and play to my strengths of just running.
Yeah, absolutely. I can sympathise. How did you find the little loop after the spectator? Did you have to get your head back in the game after a few cheers through the spectator here?
Oh, it was definitely rough coming in. Your brain wants to switch off and you have to switch back on again, but it was a nice... Yeah, I like that sort of stuff where you've really got to tick over because it's where you find you either lose time, and I like having to concentrate in after that.
Absolutely. And did you find any other sort of decisive areas of the course that you really felt like you had to lock in your brain and make sure you didn't sort of go to sleep?
Yeah, number 12. I found I came out of the thing and I was a bit, just take a bearing and run. I lost a bit of time there. But otherwise, it was good.
Yeah, congratulations.
So I'll just interrupt there. We've got Owen coming into the spectator right behind us. He had a 3.5 minute lead at that pre-warning control. So it's looking like he'll be tough to beat as long as he can have a clean finish.
Yeah, so on the second radio control, he was actually tied. Oh no, 3 minutes 30, sorry. So it'll be interesting to see if Owen can have a nice clean run in this last loop there. And it's also worth of noting Eddie Swain in 10th there at the second control. So seems like that there's been a couple of shifts of the possible podium spots here. So if seems like Owen's dropped Cooper Hawley here, so it seems like he might get himself a possible championship spot here. Well done, Owen.
We've just got Miller Key running behind us in the arena here, and Miller looks like she has lost a bit of time out there, and she is currently in 5th place.
But then again, you never know. She could have a really strong run here for this last loop here to possibly pick up on time to get that 3rd place spot here to get on the podium. And we've just got Eddie Swain here in 10th in the senior boys coming through this last spectator loop here. But the senior boys is looking pretty tight, so you never know. Speaking of senior boys, if you look up on the big screen there on the GoPro tracking, we've still got Owen Ratajewski in the lead here. It'll be interesting to see if he can take the overall spot from Ewan Best. It's pretty close. If he's got a clean run, then it's pretty safe to say that he's got the championship. And we've got a couple more junior girl runners coming through here.
Yeah, Keely Williams running into the finish there, and she's currently in 10th place, so a strong run from Keely. Oh, apologies. She did just drop into 11th at the finish.
So when Owen comes in, he was the 5th last starter. So whatever place he finishes in, there's not many people that can beat him. And at the earlier radio controls, he was a long way ahead of the others. So it will look like he will win overall as long as he can finish with a clean last couple of controls.
Yeah, it's safe to say that's the bet there that Owen will win, because Cooper Hawley is coming in 4th, 5 minutes down at the second radio control. So it's safe to say that he's got the spot there. And in the junior boys, Matthew Layton at their first radio control. 13 seconds down on Maddie Maundrell's time there, and 7 seconds down on Rory Shedden. So if Matthew Layton has a good run here, he could potentially topple those 3 boys to get in the hot seat here for the championship. And Anna Babington coming through the finish now, and Lachlan Braid. Anna Babington coming in 6th overall here. And Cooper Hawley coming through the spectator loop now. So he was quite a fair bit down on Owen Ratajewski, but we'll wait and see if he can pick up on some speed here in this last loop.
Yeah, and he's actually not too far behind Alex Wolford, who currently sits in 3rd at that control. So he's about, I think, 45 seconds down there.
Yeah, so while he may not take the lead, he could very well get himself a medal here. And we've got a couple of juniors racing it out in the sprint finish here. Yeah, so I guess to review a couple of the potential athletes here who could shake up the podium results. So in the junior boys class, we're still waiting on Matthew Layton and Ben Marshall's times. For the junior girls, Torren Jorgensen actually is coming in a pretty good time here, so we'll have to wait and see on her. For the senior boys, obviously we've got Owen Radajewski here and Cooper Hawley. They could possibly...
And we've got Owen coming into the finish now, I believe. We did just have him at the pre-warning.
So if Owen has himself a good sprint finish here, he should take a comfortable lead here in the senior boys class. So Owen Radajewski finally getting... Oh, and Miller Key as well in the senior girls. The other two threats to the podium coming into the finish now. So depending on how well Owen and Miller's run is here through the finish will determine whether they can get the overall championship or just a podium place here. So we'll have to wait and see on Owen and Miller's time here in the finish.
It does look like Miller's had a very good finish here because she was in 5th at that last radio and she's moved into 3rd at the pre-warning.
And Owen Radajewski takes out the title for the senior boys, 3 minutes and 1 second ahead of Ewan Best. He has had an absolute baller of a run here today. So well done, Owen. And we're just awaiting on Miller Key to come through the finish now. Will she take the top 3 place here in the senior girls class? We'll wait and see. And she comes in 3rd place. So first place Tide, second Erica, 3rd place Miller Key, only 2.5 minutes down on Tide 5A there.
And it does look like those will be the final results because there's no one that can come in and beat those times left out on course, really. Yeah, looking at the results, that looks fairly tied up.
Yeah, Eddie Swain coming through the finish now, one of those boys who we were talking about before, but it looks like he will come in 7th here. And in the junior boys class, one of the boys that could possibly rustle up the podium here, Ben Marshall in the 2nd radio control, coming in 5th. And speaking of which, here comes Ben Marshall now. Will he have a pretty strong sprint finish to take the podium place, or will he come in 5th? We'll have to wait and see, depending on how well we can come through here. And he's charging up the finish sprint here. Will he take a good spot here, or will Adrian Garbellini, Maddie Maundrell and Rory Shedden be the medal winners here today? We'll have to wait and see.
And we are still just waiting on that pre-warning from Torren Jorgensen, who I think is the only one that can disrupt the current junior girls podium.
Yep, and in the other classes, Eddie Swain coming in 6th and Ben Marshall coming in 5th overall there. So that rounds up the boys class. We're just waiting on the junior girls here.
It does look like Torren Jorgensen is up to 31 minutes now. So even if she were to finish right now, that would be in 10th place. So it looks like that junior girls podium is tied up with Katie Clausen in 1st, Greta Prince 2nd, and Ella Clausen 3rd. Congratulations.
Greta in a Clausen sandwich there.
Yeah, so the only potential threat here to medal results is Cooper Hawley in the senior boys class. So looks like at the moment it's either Owen, Ewan and Alex here at the moment.
We do still have a potential dark horse in the junior boys from Matthew Layton, who's currently on 22.49. So he could, if he has a good next section, come into the podium, I believe.
Well, yeah, because 3rd at that first radio control and only, 13 seconds behind Maddie Maundrell's time at that point. And Maddie was in the lead there. And Rory, who won it, was 11.38, so it was only a 7-second difference between those two.
Yeah, and we've got Cooper Hawley coming in through the finish now. He was 50 seconds down on Alex Wolford at the last radio control. Cooper's got to have a massive sprint finish here if he wants to overtake his fellow teammate from New South Wales, Alex Wolford, into the finish. Will he get himself a strong finish sprint, or will he take 4th overall today? He will still be... We'll have to wait and see. Cooper charging through the finish now. Oh, and he takes 4th overall today. So Alex Wolford's bronze medal still holding on. So that looks like it wraps up the senior boys class. Owen Ratajewski first, Ewan Best second, 3.5 minutes down, and Alex Wolford 3rd place there.
Looks like Cooper and Alex had a very, very similar finish. They were 50 seconds apart at the pre-warning, and they're 50 seconds apart at the finish. So very consistent between the two New South Wales boys.
And that's Jamie Wolford on the GoPro tracking up on the big screen there. We'll have to wait and see when he punches the radio control where he's placed at the moment, but I would have thought he would have been the favourites to win today, but it looks like Owen's got that championship title today, so we'll have to wait and see what time he runs himself through here. Looks like he's taking it pretty conserved out there. He's just punched one of the radio controls. We just have to wait for that now.
Yeah, I think Jamie will be in about 7th or 8th. We'll see what comes through. Oh, no, he's wrong. It's actually in 5th place.
So he's 5.5 minutes down on Owen Ratajewski at the 2nd radio control. So he could potentially overtake his younger brother, Alex Wolford, and fellow teammate Cooper Hawley here. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, he's not actually that far down on Alex and Cooper. I think there was 4.5 minutes from Owen to Alex, and Jamie's another a minute back. So he could make up some time in that last loop.
He's definitely made up a bit of time from that first the first radio, because he was 3 minutes down on his brother Alex, and he's now only 1:10.
Oh, and we've just seen Matthew Leighton punching the pre-warning control, and he is currently in 3rd place, so he can disrupt that podium.
Yeah, so if he has a very strong run home on the second half of the course, he could potentially challenge Rory Shedden's title. Because, yeah, you are right, Aislinn. He is only 90 seconds down, so if he has a ripper of a run here, he'll be good. And speaking of which, we've got Jamie Wolford here coming through the spectator arena now. If he has a really strong run here in this last loop, and it looks like he is pushing his lungs out here, he is begging to have an absolute ripper of a last 4 controls here, because if he does, he will overtake his younger brother, Alex Wolford, in 3rd overall, and overtake his teammate, Cooper Hawley. And he is sprinting up that hill. So it looks like he is absolutely gunning it all for his best here. So, and the GoPro tracking's following him, I assume.
And we've just got Matty Leighton coming into the last control here, so it will be interesting to see, can he hold on to his 3rd place?
Or can he potentially overtake Matty Maundrell and Rory Shedden here? We'll have to wait and see. We've got
just 23 seconds down on Matty Maundrell at that pre-warning, so it will be interesting.
So he is really banking on a fast sprint finish here. I assume he would be barreling down that gully here. And is this him? This is Matthew Leighton. He is betting everything on this sprint finish. Will he get it? Oh, he comes in 3rd overall. So Rory Shedden takes out the Australian Schools Long Distance Orienteering Championship title for the junior boys. Matty Maundrell in 2nd and Matthew Leighton 3rd. Give these boys a round of applause. Oh, actually, we've just missed Alton Freeman. He is a potential threat as well that we missed out on. I thought that the junior boys class was in wraps there, so...
No, it looks like with the junior boys, because they've got such huge numbers where all these other classes are wrapping up, there's still plenty to go there in the junior boys.
Yeah, so just scrolling down now, Alton Freeman is potentially the last person to make a threat here to the title. And we're just waiting on Jamie Wolford as well. We did see him on the GoPro tracking there while we were looking at where Alton Freeman is on the start list. So he's put himself at the very last spot here.
It did look like on that GoPro footage that Jamie might have made a little mistake up there on the hill.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if that's made him miss out here. So again here, it looks like all of the classes except for the junior boys is already been decided here, except for Jamie Wolford in the senior boys, of course, but we'll have to wait a fair bit for if Alton Freeman can take out those top 3 boys there.
So for Jamie, he's got about a minute to get to that final radio control in order to be in contention with Alex.
So will he have a pretty good sprint finish here? Not sure. While we're... Oh, a shocker here. Christopher Drury coming in first in the first radio control. I did not expect that from the fellow West Australian. Well done on him, but it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that on the second radio control. So he was 22 seconds ahead of Matty Maundrell there. He must have smashed that first couple of controls out there. It'll be interesting. Oh, it looks like he's with Alton Freeman. Never mind. So he punched him. Christopher Drury and Alton Freeman are working together here. If the pair of them can stay together throughout the rest of the course, then there is a high likelihood that they will come in first and second here. So we'll have to wait and see if Alton Freeman can have a nice clean run and Christopher Drury can hang on.
Yeah, Alton's lead at that point was 1.5 minutes, so that's a really good start. To be 10 minutes-ish to around the halfway point. So it's looking like a very, very strong run. I think we can say that Jamie Wolford is now taking that little bit too long on that final loop, and he will not be in contention for those top 3 places.
Well, it looks like we've missed out on Jake McClellan there in the senior boys class. He's caught up. He's come in 7th overall there. So, again, we are just waiting on Jamie Wolford here. Can he come through? We'll have to wait and see. He should be coming in any moment now if he's a potential shot.
Well, he's now up to 45 minutes and 50 seconds, which is outside that top 3. It was 46 minutes for Cooper's time, and then 46.33 for Blake McKinnon. So in order to get that top 5, he's got to be hitting that pre-warning right about now.
And I'm just here with our confirmed leader in the senior boys, Owen Radajewski. How was your run out there, Owen?
Oh, it's pretty damn good. I couldn't have asked for any better, I think. Like, pretty clean the whole way. Took the first bit a bit easier. I knew it was going to be tricky, but yeah, very clean.
And do you think that ACT Granite really held you in good stead there for this course?
Clearly, I think, yeah. I don't know. I've run on this map once before. Maybe that helped, but no, we've got some good terrain in ACT, so yeah, that was...
And which part of the course do you think was the most decisive? Do you think it was that leg through the green, or do you think it was that final loop, or a bit of both?
Oh, I think the start, yeah, that was really tricky. We knew it was going to be hard, that hillside, so yeah, I think that was the most decisive.
Yeah, so you really had to be calm at the beginning. Did you take it a little bit slower with that in mind?
Yeah, definitely. And we knew that before, so it was helpful, I guess, a bit calmer, and knew if I just get through that clean, then I'll be able to smash the last bit.
Yeah, well, congratulations. I don't think you could be knocked out of the hot seat now, so you are our winner. Well done.
Yep, Aislinn is correct there. So we've got Jamie Wolford up on the big screen on the GoPro tracking, and here he is now coming through on that last bit to the finish. So he was quite a fair bit down at the radio control there. Yeah, he was coming in 7th in that last radio control there. So we'll have to wait and see on the sprint finish. Oh, we've got a fair bit of wind here. Apologies. So will Jamie Wolford come through a pretty strong finish here? He could get a top 10 result. Again, this does matter for the overall ASOC championship here and the Aussie New Zealand challenge here. So Jamie Wolford gunning for a sprint finish now. Will he overtake his brother? Potentially or potentially not. We'll have to wait and see. And he comes in 7th overall there, just behind Miles Bryant. So good run for Jamie out there, but not quite enough to get up there.
An update from that first radio, we've got Alex Venzella into 6th place there, 90 seconds down on Alton Freeman, but only 14 seconds down on Matty Maundrell at that point, and that's to get into the podium spot. So if Alex has a good run through that second half, possibly another contender for the podium.
Yeah, so it looks like the junior boys class, just like yesterday, it'll be down to the wire. So potentially we'll have to wait to see if Christopher Jury stuck with Alton Freeman there, or if Alex Vanzella can catch up on this second half, because we might potentially have a new 1, 2 and 3 here for the junior boys class. Yeah, we've just got one of the New Zealanders up on the screen here. Now, in the junior boys class, we're still waiting on Alex Vanzella, Alton Freeman, and Christopher Drury here, so...
Up on the screen we had Kyrus Finlow from New Zealand, and he was our last starter in the... She was our last starter in the junior girls class.
And in the junior boys class, I completely forgot about Hayden Dent. So we've got 4 junior boys who could possibly ruffle up the podium here. So Hayden Dent is in 5th at the second radio control. He is 2.5 minutes down on Rory Shedden here, and about 1 minute 4 seconds down on Matthew Layton in 3rd. So if he has a pretty strong run home on this last part of the course, he could potentially make up a lot of ground here. So it'll be interesting to see.
I think it's probably unlikely for him to pick up a minute, because it's basically run to the finish control and then up the chute.
Speaking of which, we've just got Hayden Dent coming through the finish now. So if he has a pretty strong finish, I don't know, he might take 3rd here. We'll just have to wait and see. Had a bit of a slide there coming his last finish, but depends on... It's giving high fives to a couple of the kids along. Having a nice sprint finish now. Will he take top 3 here, or will he get himself into 5th place? We'll wait and see.
And he goes into 5th there. So, yeah, apologies to our audience. I think just the sheer number of junior boys has really thrown us off, but it is really exciting for the future of our sport. So I think everyone can agree that it's good to see.
And just a reminder for all the athletes who had GPS trackers, can you please take your GPS trackers back to the finish tent now, please? Can you please bring back your GPS trackers to the tent now? Thank you.
And for all those going out later, you would have noticed a lot of our junior athletes running in, quite a few of them with blood coming out of their heads. So please just note that it is pretty rough out there, and do take it as easy as you can. We don't want any serious injuries.
Just a correction with those trackers. I think we're going to go to Red Joe. I'm just keen to get them out to phone reception so we can watch the replays because it's very patchy at the moment. So yeah, if the trackers can get to reception, I'd get to Red Joe as soon as possible. I'll get someone to take them out to phone reception.
So looking at the junior boys class, in order to be in contention for that lead spot, we kind of will need to see Alton Freeman at that pre-warning control in about the next 4 minutes, Christopher Drury in about the next 2 minutes, and Alex in the next 6. But there's still possibilities to take out the lead here. We'll see how they go, but if they've had a good run through the finish, they were all very competitive at that first radio.
And if we look up on the big screen there, we've got Alton Freeman from New South Wales, and it looks like he's not with Christopher Drury there. Yep, so we've just got confirmation on the radio control there. He is in first, 2 minutes ahead of Rory Shedden. So can he hold this lead coming up into the finish? We'll have to wait and see. And we'll have to see if Christopher Drury has come in as well for that radio control there, if Alton Freeman has dropped them. So... And we're also waiting on Alex Venzela. And we see Christopher Drury there as well. So we've got the two GoPro men following Christopher Drury and Alton Freeman. These two boys are having an absolute ripper of a run here. But I believe Alton Freeman's a threat for the overall title, and Christopher Drury could be a threat for a third place spot here.
Look, it looks very confident that Alton will take the win here, or the lead. You have to have a bit of a blowout on this final control to lose 2 minutes in that last section of the course, which I think would be less than 2 minutes total. So,
and we can just see him punching now, so he should be into the finish very shortly.
So This looks like the overall lead here in the junior boys class. Alton Freeman taking out the overall championship title for the junior boys. And he takes the lead, 2 minutes, 14 seconds ahead of Rory Shedden. So New South Wales have got 1 and 2 there. And we can just see Christopher Drury in 4th place here. 3.5 minutes down on Alton, and he is 19 seconds down on Matty Maundrell. So if he wants to get in a 3rd place position here, he needs to sprint his heart out, and I believe he will. So, and we're also waiting on Alex Venzella, who's starting out a bit later. Gee, things are wrapping up here pretty tightly, and I believe that's Christopher Drury up there. He's got to run his heart out here in this last bit before the finish.
He's got about 20 seconds to get into that, to the actual finish in order to...
He potentially might not get on the podium here, but he has run an absolute ripper of a run here. 4th overall for Christopher Drury, a dark horse here in junior boys. Give a round of applause for Christopher Drury and Alton Freeman.
And I'm just here with our new winner in the junior boys, Alton Freeman. Alton, what was the most decisive part of the course for you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. To be honest, probably near the end there were a few like slightly tricky controls, but when you're like super fatigued, under a lot of pressure right at the end, like it was all getting to me. So I'm glad I executed 10 and 11 quite well.
And did you know that you were on for a pretty good run out there? And I think you saw Chris.
Yeah, I messed up number 1 actually quite badly, so I knew I had a lot of work to do from 1, but then I did the rest of the course quite cleanly, made some good route choices on the 2 long legs, so I knew I was in with a chance, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, that's great. And so you managed to really calm yourself down and navigate well for the rest of the course.
Yeah, after the mistake at 1, I controlled myself and didn't let it get out of hand, didn't let it get to my head.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. I think you might be our winner confirmed, so I don't think you can be overhauled anymore. Congratulations.
Just to update on how close it was for that 4th position, Christopher Drury was only 1 second ahead of Matthew Layton for that 4th position. It's a very, very close race in here today.
Yeah, I would imagine if I was on the committee for the All-Stars team for the Australian schools athletes, I would be having a headache right now because the podium's pretty much flipped. So the athletes who did really well in the sprint yesterday didn't do as well as we expected in the forest today. And we have, of course, the likes who were pretty far down on the podium on the sprint just come up trumps and come in a top 5 place. So it'll be interesting to see here. Now, Alex Venzella, our last potential threat to a podium here, he hasn't punched the 2nd radio control yet, so we're still waiting on him. He's about 26 minutes now, so he won't get the podium yet, but he could still potentially get top 10, so we're still looking for him here. Yep, and the GPS track, the GoPro tracker has got him now. The little boy from Queensland, he could potentially get himself a top 10 spot here, so good run from him here. Well done, Alex.
Yep, so he's in 7th at that radio control, and It does look to be pretty close to sixth, only 8 seconds. So that is a possibility if he sprints down this hill, because it's basically a downhill, almost track to the finish. But you still do need to navigate down there. You've got to make sure you don't make any mistakes on that final control.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a lot of the other athletes make a couple of mistakes into entering this last control. So if he's pretty clean here, he could get himself in sixth spot. We'll just have to wait and see. I think I see a maroon shirt in the distance. Yes, I do. Here he comes. He'll be running himself into a top 10 spot. So if I was one of the Queensland athletes, I'd be cheering his heart out here, because you could potentially take out the overall ASOC title here. So give Alex a cheer through. He won't get a podium result here, but he could potentially have an upset here. So Alex has just ticked over the 27.5-minute mark. He will get himself possibly into 7th place here. So it's a sprint finish to overtake. We'll just have to wait and see on Alex's finish result. And he is in 7th place. So this last couple of runners have really knocked down the ACT junior boys here. So that was a really good run from Alex Venzela, another junior boy who's appeared out of nowhere to give a shock to the potential honours team here.
And so I believe that wraps up all our podiums. So I'll just run through them. In the senior girls, we had first Tide Fave, second Erica Enderby, and third Miller Key. In the senior boys, we had first Owen Radajewski in a very commanding lead over Ewan Best and Alex Wolford. In the junior girls, we had in first place Katie Clausen, who took the lead quite early and held on to it for a very long time. Second Greta Prince, and third Ella Clausen. And then in the junior boys, we had Alton Freeman, Rory Shedden, and Maddie Maundrell. So the Aussies definitely putting in a strong performance in the Forest, as we thought that they would.
Yeah, it seems like the Aussies have definitely taken up trumps here against the New Zealanders in the Australian Schools Challenge there. So it'll be interesting to see, particularly for the honours team, and the relays will end up being most of the time where some of these teams like Queensland in particular could potentially overtake New South Wales and ACT if they have a ripper of a run for the relays. And you have a couple of potential dark horses as well for honours team, Christopher Drury and Alex Venzela, really coming up trumps there. So if they have good runs as well, that would be really interesting to see. And also Alex Wolford, a potential honours team, I believe, here. So.
And Riley and Kaz, what was your biggest surprise performance of the day?
I'll start with you, Kaz.
It might be the battle between the Wolford brothers. That was great to see that Alex was able to pip Jamie on today's run. It did look very close, and it came down to the wire right at the end, where I believe Jamie had a bit of a mistake in that final couple of controls that seemed to potentially cost him the podium.
Now, look, I understand that Owen Radajewski taking out the overall title here is a massive achievement for Owen. So, as well as Alex Wolford beating Cooper Hawley and Jamie Wolford, but I have to say I am West Australia. I'm a bit biased here. I believe Christopher Drury's 4th overall spot has absolutely shocked everyone here. So, absolutely wonderful performance from Christopher Drury. He was definitely a result that shocked the rest of the continent here.
Yeah, and in a similar vein, and I mean, certainly I've seen how quickly he's been developing being a Victorian, but Matty Leighton coming through for 5th, that was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, those two boys, Christopher Drury and Matthew Leighton, they would be a potential shot for the honours team if they can hold a really good spot on the relays. So it looks like not only the overall ASOC title is up for grabs, but it looks like also honours team is up for grabs, depending on how well these athletes can do tomorrow for the relay. Not only will they have their team results on the line, they'll also be having potential overall categories on the line and honours team on the line. So just like in true relay fashion, everything is down the line for tomorrow for the Australian Schools Relay Orienteering Championships.
It's just like we like it.
Yeah, I certainly haven't witnessed the leaderboard be this tight before for the ASOC title, and it'll be interesting to see if a couple of the New Zealanders can come up trumps tomorrow. A couple of those athletes that I expected would do quite well dropped a fair bit off the leaderboard, but then again, they are junior athletes, so that is understandable that they can be quite a bit emotional at this carnival here, but it'll be interesting to see. Everything will come down to the relays.
And a little bit of a train coming through at the end here. We've got Nick Mousley, Tucker Ellery and Arvin Nair coming into the finish.
So just an announcement. We need team names, not team names, names for relays to be taken over towards the finish, just a tree by the finish there. If you can do that in the next I don't know, couple of minutes, that would be very useful.
And if you just look up at the screen here, we have a rundown of the senior girls' top 10 placing here. So I've got first place tied 5A, second Erica, third Miller taking out the podiums. And in the junior girls class, here's the top 10 again. Again, Katie Clausen, Greta Prince-Ella Clausen taking out the top 3 there. And for the senior boys, we've got Owen Radajewski, Ewan Best, and Alex Wolford taking out the top 3. Well done, Alex, there. Good run. And in the junior boys class, we have Alton Freeman first, Rory Shedden second, Maddie Maundrell third, and special shout out to 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th for having a ripper of a run. And for the rest of the boys as well, well done, Hayden, Rowan, and Callum. Now, I've just been informed that presentations were expected to be 12:30, but they may be earlier depending on when the runner's coming in. So it'll probably be very soon, a lot sooner than 12:30. So if we could get everyone to gather around the arena here for presentations to get underway shortly. So thank you all for attending the Australian Secondary Schools Long Distance Orienteering Championships. We hope to see you all out there tomorrow for the relays, and for those who are running the Thunderbolt 3 days, we'll see you out there.
Could Lindy Hewson come down to the presentation? Is Nia Shingler amongst us and Sam Wolford? We just need to pull this apart, Sam. Can you pull that up? You got to give it a good yank. That's it. I can't do that. And you need to pull that. You want this one out? Yes, please. And this one. And this one, just like a gate. Just make like a gate. And is. Nia, are you around somewhere? Is that okay?
Pardon?
Okay. Got heaps of time. Yeah.
Yeah, Nia's on her way over.
Yep. Oh, Sam's here. Oh, okay. Is that okay? I can't think of, if you can find some other jaywalk people, except some of the jaywalk. So it's a bit hard.
Come on, it's a no-go. You did such a good job.
Yeah, you did. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to commence the presentation now. So if I could have everyone gathered around looking this way, that would be really great. It's really hard to do a presentation when there's lots of conversations around. Well, what an exciting day. What a wonderful area, and really exciting watching our seniors and juniors schools teams come running through the forest and come through this fabulous finish. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we're meeting on today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I want to just go back to yesterday because I forgot yesterday two very important people to thank, and that is Nick Dent and Oscar Meller. Where are they? Come out here.
Nick's over there, probably somewhere hiding.
I know, I told him.
There he is, he's on his way.
He's on his way. Yep. I haven't got the bit of paper yet. So Oscar was the course setter for yesterday and Nick was the controller. So thank you very much to these two for yesterday's courses. Okay. Yes, you can go now. Thank you. And today, all those fun courses that everyone ran round were done by Alvin Craig. So if Alvin can come up here, please. And the controller for today was Mark Shingler. And I know Mark's just there somewhere. Sorry, we haven't got a medal for you, but... So Alvin was our course setter and Mark was the controller for today. So thank you very much to these two. Sorry about that. It's really good if you have the results before you start announcing. Just a bit of a warning for all those people who are going out on the Thunderbolts this afternoon. There's been a couple of accidents this morning with people on the rocks and so on, so just take it easy when you're out there. We might not be rushing as much as the juniors and seniors kids, but just be careful. So I'm going to start with the junior boys, and this is for the Australian Schools Championship medals. So, third place is Matty Mandrell from Orienteering ACT. Second place, Rory Shedden, Orienteering New South Wales. And first place, Alton Freeman, Orienteering New South Wales. Stand up on the hay bale, Alton. I'll make it a... Oh, you went there. Congratulations to our Australian Schools Long champions. We'll move on to the junior girls. And this is for the Australian Schools Championship, so I take Australians. And it looks like Tasmania's made a clean sweep here. In third place, Sophie Hartman. In second place, Ella Clausen. And in first place, Katie Clausen. Wow, what a relay team. Linda, so I don't say that. Senior boys. Third place, Alex Wood-Wolford, Orienteering New South Wales. Second place, Ewan Best, Orienteering Tasmania. And first place, Owen Radajewski from the ACT. Stand up. Come on. Whoa. And for the Australian Schools Championship in the senior girls, third place is Xanthi Schubert from Orienteering Queensland. Second place is Mila Key from Orienteering Victoria. And first place, Erica Enderby, Orienteering New South Wales. Right, now we're going to do the Southern Cross Challenge when we let the New Zealanders win a few medals. Junior boys, no change. Third place, Matty Mandrell. Second place, Rory Shedden. And first place, Alton Freeman. 2 medals to take home. And the junior girls, third place, Ella Clausen, Orienteering Tasmania. Second place, Greta Prince, Karahiwi. And first place, Katie Clausen, Orienteering Tasmania. And the senior boys, no change. Third place, Alex Wolford. Second place, Ewan Best. First place, Owen Radajewski. And the senior girls. Third place, Mila Key. Second place, Erica Enderby. And first place, Tide Favieve. Is that how? Hat off. And take your hat off. And thank you again to Nia Shingler and Sam Wolford for our helping us with the presentation. Thanks, guys. So that concludes our presentation. We'll see you tomorrow for the relays in this exciting arena again. So thank you very much.